What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Trainer's Scoop podcast. Very, very excited and happy to bring to you the man who's not only an absolute beast in the weight room, but super knowledgeable guy as well, Dylan Spina. Dylan, say what's up to everybody.
What's going on, everybody? So grateful to be here, David. I'm excited to chat about what we're going to be chatting about. Let's get to it, dude.
Yes, sir. I always like to give a quick little background of how I know my guests, so I'll get into it a little bit. Trying to think back when Iron Valley Barbell was first kind of getting off the ground, Zach had that crew of guys. So I, of course, naturally followed everybody. Pretty sure I'd followed you before I actually moved out to Indy. But in the summer of 2018, I did an internship. I actually did an internship at NIFS. I don't know if I ever told you that, Dylan. But so
Yep.
did an internship at a super nice facility, great gym, but I still drove that extra 25 minutes to come train at Iron Valley Barbell, which is just an awesome spot, kind of in like the northern part of Indianapolis. There was just a great group of guys at IVB. I really knew no one in Indianapolis, and they kind of like took me in, gave me a community to be a part of that summer, or it would have been a very lonely, boring summer without you guys. So really do appreciate the community that I had there. And, Dylan and I had a shared interest in nutrition, dietetics, all that type of stuff, which is what we'll get into for the bulk of the podcast today. But I don't want to keep talking, Dylan. If you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into all this, and what you got going on, I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. I can still remember that summer clear as day because that was my first legitimate summer in Indianapolis as well. I moved August of 2017. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2016. Zach was coaching me. Zach Hummel was coaching me. He's the owner of IVB, even though he would say he's not. Uh, he was coaching me for a while, dude, and I was at a very dark part of my life, getting out of the Marine Corps. Loss of responsibility, no purpose, no sense of direction. Thought I was going to become a federal agent, dude. Fucking had 4 polygraphs with the Secret Service, went to apply with Texas Highway Patrol, and God is good, dude, and led me in the right direction with the right people. And I had a professor in my second semester of criminal justice at Rutgers tell me that if I want to go federally or operate federally, I'm going to get a degree in something I love and not criminal justice. So I talked to her. I've always been infatuated with nutrition. My grandfather passed away 10 years ago now, and he didn't make the best lifestyle choices. He was an immigrant from Italy, so you can only imagine the type of food I had every Sunday type thing. And he passed away from what they call a widowmaker heart attack. This is a surprise heart attack. And knowing his background, knowing everything, I knew nutrition was a culprit. So all I did was dive into some reason I knew to go like PubMed right away. People go to like Facebook or Twitter or whatever to try to learn nutrition. I forget where it came from. I wish I could tell you, but it was just straight to PubMed, which is like the database where all the research is led for nutrition and all sciences. Got really infatuated with that. But when my professor told me that, being coached by Zach, and it was a weird point where they were telling people like, just make that jump, just you really want to do something with your life, you have to take risk. And one of my best friends grew up through high school, Marine Corps and everything like that. He was the one that solidified that choice. Like, you know what, like you got nothing to fail, dude. The Marine Corps is going to help pay for the move, things like that, or the VA, I should say, not the Marine Corps. And I had nothing to lose to move to Indy. And same story, dude. Didn't know a soul besides Zach. I remember meeting Zach for the first time, and he didn't even know who the fuck I was, even though he coached me. Like his first time we were meeting face to face, we talked vocally on the phone. FaceTime really wasn't an active thing at that time. And just kind of showed up. I was living with one of the head trainers there, and kind of just literally just asked kind of in conversation, like, hey, when are you guys going to train tomorrow? Like, so I would come in 2 hours before they train myself, and literally just fucking stuck around like a lost kid, dude. Move their weights, clean the barbell, did whatever I could to help them to learn. I didn't care where the fuck this led me. I just wanted to learn. I hope you don't mind if I curse on the
No.
podcast, dude.
Go
I don't
for
know
it,
how
man.
clean you're going to be.
No.
I probably already did. I just caught myself there.
You're
But
good, bro.
eventually, dude, Zach Hummel asked me to train. Like, hey, dude, we're going to train at 10 o'clock this time. Come in. We want you. That led one thing to another. Started in school for dietetics in Ball State. About a month of that later. And it just kind of, the relationship with the community grew. And then, you know, you were right there that next summer, dude, and you witnessed it, like you said. And it's just over time, responsibility of how I showed up there kind of made sense to me, a trainer, which got me to get certified with the NSCA. I was TSAC, so tactical condition facilitator. I think, yeah, whatever it stands
He's
for.
got it on the wall.
Got it on the wall. That's all that matters. But yeah, just start training clients from there, dude. Recently, about a month and a half ago, just graduated my undergrad. So 4 years later with a degree, a bachelor's of science in dietetics. About to move here, like we were talking about right before we started recording. About another month and a half from here, I'm going to Oklahoma State University, where I'll be part of the tactical fitness and nutrition lab, ironically working with first responders and military on nutritional habits, where I plan to do some research because the degree is going to be in dietetics research, in coupling mindfulness with nutrition habits and how we can compare the both, or, you know, look at the both and see how it can help one and another to lower the obesity rates in the firefighters specifically, but also law enforcement where there's barely any research, and military where there's a bunch of research. So it's a very exciting time, dude, for myself. And I can't appreciate you enough for having me on here, man.
Man, I knew I had to grab you before life gets crazy busy. So very glad to be able to talk to you, man. I think it's awesome, real quick, how it comes full circle to now you're going to be able to work with first responders and, you know, law enforcement. That's just one of those crazy things in life, you know, whether it be, you know, like a God thing or just chance. I don't know, but that's really cool to see.
You know, I always think about too, dude. It's if you just trust the process. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been reading a lot more books on like the higher self, the lower self. We're currently reading one of my the men's groups I'm a part of, the Outwitting the Devil, and it talks about identifying with the other self, which is in turn the higher self, the one that wants you to become better, right? And that lower self is that self-sabotaging thoughts that you always have with everything. And the more I reflect back on life choices, and I think this is just prevalent to everybody, so I don't want to seem like I'm fucking just talking about myself, but everybody has these two voices where it dictates the decisions we're about to make. And all I did was resonate with that higher self at every turn and just trust. No matter how scared I was, I just fucking let it guide me. If I failed, there was going to be a lesson to learn. If I won, I could continue to push forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very risky and it's scary, but you're right. It definitely, I was thinking about that, reflecting on it the other day. It's like, I wanted to become a cop in the worst way. That's why I went to the Marine Corps, and nutrition was a passion because of family circumstances. And now I'm going to be able to pair the two, and it's just trusting the process to let life guide you in the right direction. If that's God, that's the universe, higher power, whatever it is, it's just have trust.
Yeah. Wow. That's okay. Can you say the title of that book again?
So it's called Outwitting the Devil. Gotcha. By Napoleon Hill. So there's a very interesting aspect to the book where he was, in the beginning chapters, you guys read it, I'll give you a quick synopsis. He was Andrew Carnegie, which is one of the top business executives or whatever you want to call it in the 20s, early 20th century, told Napoleon Hill to kind of have this interview with the quote unquote devil. And through life, some things have come out, and he interviewed all these successful people. I'm only halfway through, so I'm giving you a rough version. But Carnegie told them to focus on the failures of what made the successful people successful and what made the unsuccessful people unsuccessful, and not so much the successes of that. So it's just a very interesting idea where once you tune into that other self, that higher self, there's like no fucking turning back. Like it's just fucking that dopamine hit of you're doing the right thing. It's all going to work out, and trust and trust and trust.
Yeah. That is a really cool concept, man. I'm gonna have to check that out, and I'll probably try to link it in the show notes as well for anyone that's interested, because that is a very interesting approach. And kind of like, I mean, I guess as someone who was one of the biggest titans of business in the early 20th century, Carnegie was thinking a little different. And Napoleon Hill, I believe that's the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, if I'm not incorrect.
So
Might be
that
right.
he no that's Dale Carnegie, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Um,
got those names
that
confused.
that book, if you want to talk about a fucking influential book in my life,
Yeah,
that book has been read 10 times easily in the past 4 or 5 years.
yeah,
Um,
okay, dang.
that's a Bible. But
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, he wrote Think and Grow Rich, and
Yeah, okay, I knew it was something.
yeah, that was the main one
Gotcha.
he wrote, was Think and Grow Rich, was the
Okay,
big one for him. But this
alrighty.
was actually released like 10 years ago, dude, because his
Hmm.
family never wanted it released.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, which gives a little bit of a interesting aura
Hmm.
to the story.
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be next on my reading list, most definitely. Appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely, brother.
That's also very interesting. One of the parallels I think between us that I never knew about was with your grandfather, because 10 years ago, same time frame, same, would you say it was like a widow's heart attack?
Yeah, Widowmaker, I think is what they call
Widowmaker.
it.
Okay. Yeah, Widowmaker. I mean, that happened to my grandma. Like, it was May 24th, 2011. So, like, same thing.
May 19th, dude.
No way. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Um, yeah. And I think it was, the same thing. Like, nutrition was very off. When I was in like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, I would walk down from my middle school to their house every day, and my grandma would have just the most heinous things for me to eat. Like the big one was, it was like a queso sausage and like peppers mix, and I would eat that every day. It was so
That sounds
good,
fucking
but
delicious, though.
yeah, that's like every day, that's gonna catch up to you. So
Yeah.
I kind of had that same spark of interest as well. I think it's really cool that you went the PubMed route where I didn't go that route. I did do some credible research and reading into nutrition, but I also got into some guru shit, so that didn't play to
Dude,
my
at that
favor.
age, man, like
Yeah.
any information you can grab is going to be great. Like,
Yeah.
ideally you would want to learn from the science, but like as we've discussed, and you know how I talk on Twitter too, it's like bro science, or the guru science, is such is ahead of the game, because scientific research that we found and base all of our practice, or practice suggestions, if you will, on, is so far behind, because there's just not enough funding, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so whatever you can do, odds are, as long as you're not putting your fucking body in danger, which most people would understand what is and what isn't, maybe not at whatever age that was for you, was that 14, 16 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It just is what it is, you know. You gotta do what
Right.
you gotta do. Any bits of knowledge is good knowledge in that
Yeah.
sense. So your 20s is to decipher it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm interested to hear more about your education at Ball State, man. Um, as I went through Ohio State, there was a couple, because my degree was basically like glorified personal trainer. It was health promotion, so kind of like the psychology and behavioral theoretical models, health promotion, nutrition, and exercise science. So I had a little bit of everything, but nothing super in depth. And one of the areas, of course, it makes sense that kind of captivated me with nutrition was like performance nutrition. We had a class that kind of like taught us how to use like the Harris Benedict and the the
Hmm.
Mifflin St. Jeor, to get your RMR, set calories, determine macros, all that. Was there any particular area that really captivated your interest as you went through your undergrad?
So probably beginning, it was a lot of, it was always weird. Our cohort, or our group of students that went from freshman year to senior year with myself, it's only about like 20 people deep. Only person interested since the very beginning in research.
Really?
Um, yeah, so like it's just, go figure. I was reading PubMed at fucking 16 years old,
Yeah.
but I would never put two and two together. The way Ball State ran their dietetics program was a lot of clinical based, until we got into the actual dietetics program. So like There's a pre-dietetics program, there's a dietetics program. So the pre-dietetics program is all your basic sciences, your math, your stats, ethics, things along those lines.
Yeah.
And then going into the dietetics program, that's where we're getting to macronutrients, micros, community, research, all those things. Research always sparked my interest, like I said, but Ball State didn't have the availability to fulfill my desires. I did have a mentor who acted as a principal investigator, senior investigator in an abstract I just submitted for publication, actually.
Nice.
But really towards my senior years where we took global and community nutrition. And since my grandfather passed away, dude, my real focus was trying to figure out how to end obesity or prevent obesity. It was something, I forget what the statistic is now, but we're like 45% obese or 40% obese and over 70% overweight as a country. If you go to any mall, any public space, numbers super accurate. And of course, it's going to be based on BMI. So we'll have outliers that are in a gym that will register as obese, but on overall on a population scale, it's relatively accurate. And noticing that I'm not really strong in science per se. So like, or chemistries or biology, like I love learning it, but it's not something I'm very passionate about doing.
Same.
And that's where I discovered community research. And that's kind of taking the interventions of like not so much pharmaceutical or necessarily diet based, but more of habit based. So trying to figure out what are the social determinants, the barriers people face, and how that can relate to and what we can do to implement something or change something that will create a dent. So I know I'm not going to end it. Like I'm not that naive to think I'm going to drop 70% to 5% in my lifetime. The goal would be to put a dent that creates momentum for somebody else to take the baton after me, right? That would be the goal. But learning especially in our community class, public policy, how much policy is influenced in the determinants of school lunches, welfare, food stamps, our SNAP benefits now. And the choices those people make with what is actually available really has grasped my interest. We went through, I know I'm kind of going off topic here. I'm just fucking rambling. But we part of the undergrad class and community talked about our SNAP benefits and the food stamps. We watched this video, I think it was taken like 2009, but even more so relevant, especially after COVID now, that I think a family of four only had like $48.97 to feed themselves a week. Like, let's just sit with that number real quick. It's something ridiculous. It might have been just a couple, but like a 2-person couple or maybe a family of 4. I can't remember the exact, but still, even if it was a fucking family of 4, that's going to be $100 at most. Feed yourself a nutritious diet that's going to fill your kid's belly on $100 a week. Right? That's not going to happen. I feed myself on $100 a week.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to do so. But we want to create, oh, you shouldn't be eating fucking cheese or you shouldn't be eating chips. But when you're a parent and you're working 3 jobs and you're trying to put food on your family's table, you have $50 to do it. You're going to do things that are going to be more energy dense, that are going to fill your baby's bellies up more than worry about nutrition. And actually in this documentary we watched, they did, this couple did follow the rules or whatever it was for food stamps, lived off of food stamps for a week, tried to eat as nutritious as they could, and then had a food assessment before and a food assessment after this week with a registered dietitian, and they still failed.
That sounds like a very interesting documentary.
Yeah, it was, I think it was like not a BBC, but like a PBS maybe or something like that. It was old. I just remember it being like, you could tell it was like early 2010 or something like that. But once I read that, I knew like that's where I need to be. It's not science that I'm interested in. It's more of helping people directly. And that's kind of where I base my coaching off as too. Like I coach macros if need be, but I can care less about that as long as we're changing habits sustainably and with actionable advice type thing.
Yeah, yeah. Got you. So then with the purpose of the research, right? So you'll kind of gain a deeper understanding of, what exactly goes on in the communities, and then how do you think, like practically speaking, um, if you were to kind of infer, how do you think that knowledge would help you like advise different habits? Is it something that you expect to like make groundbreaking changes on, or just kind of like tweak the process?
That's a good question, dude. I think it's going to be more of tweaking the process right now. The more and more I dive into it, the more barriers I realize are up for people, that it's almost going to be playing whack-a-mole,
Mm.
right? So with the mindset we've both of us have carried with most of our lives is kind of just go after the biggest thing, right? We're going to go attack so we can have the biggest impact. Where going on to an individual level is going to be more of, okay, what's this? But on a policy level, on a national level, it's going to be more policy change than anything that's going to make the biggest
Yeah.
impact.
Okay.
Um, and it's sad to say, and like the statistic, there I was just reading a statistic the other day. It's 75% of adults that are under the age of 25 are obese or overweight, and something that speaks near and dear to my heart from being in the military is you can't get into the military if you're fucking overweight. So national defense is going to be at an issue, right?
Mhm.
Not only national defense, they're 20 years old. What is that going to look like when they're 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, if they make it that long?
Right.
The strain that's going to put on our healthcare system, dude, is just astronomically mind-boggling, just heartbreaking to get another adjective in there, right? Um, so big change policy, small change individual habits.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be necessarily groundbreaking, but to the individual, it will be.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a great way to phrase that. I'm glad that we
Thank you.
have you as someone that's working toward this, because like you said, there's serious implications for where a lot of people are at right now. But that'll be really cool. Do you know of any particular research projects that are going on at Oklahoma right now?
So actually, I just was today, Wednesday, Monday, I just had a meeting with my advisor about thesis options, kind of where I want to take in. Like I was talking about before, I really want to take in the mindfulness aspect to the eating habits, where we're focusing on first responders. So in this particular cohort, we're going to be looking at will be spouses of firefighters, and if they act as gatekeepers to the firefighters' health. Firefighters, like very similar statistics across the board against the general public, obesity wise. Um, all deaths. So I think cardiovascular disease for firefighters was like number one of reasons to die, right? Or death, causes of death, I guess would be the more proper way to say that. Um, all those cardiovascular disease events were attributed to lifestyle factors and not job specific reasons.
That's crazy, especially when you say
So
firefighter.
yeah, and like I have really good friends that are firefighters. I got two from the Marine Corps I can think of right off the top of my head that are overweight, and I worry every day that ask me and come to me to advice, and I know they want to change it because I see how it's going to affect their performance. But just two out of two that I know, like that's, and the sample size is small, but still, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of where the research will be going
Okay.
when I get there.
Yeah. So do you think that the data that you were just discussing can be kind of extrapolated on a broader scale to like shift work in general? A lot of the people that I've worked with and had conversations with, they really struggle with kind of, I guess, like out of the ordinary schedules. So whether it be like you said, first responders, healthcare, factory, like third shift. Do you know, or I mean, you might be in touch with the research more so than I am. Do you know if there's anything that kind of correlates between the two?
So there is a good correlation. I don't know the exact stats. Like I'm
Yeah.
not like any of these other researchers. I can pull out the author, the statistics and everything like that. I just know the general idea so I'm aware of it and I can coach and teach to it.
Yeah.
Third shift workers or graveyard shift workers. So we're looking at anything in the nighttime. I wish I remember the exact amount of years their lifespan is actually minimized because of that. And this is something we actually coach in our Entrepreform. So another coaching business I'm part of with Jay.
Hmm.
We coach entrepreneurs and really making sure we align ourselves with our circadian rhythm. And when we're up, like certain circadian rhythm, just quick down and dirty, hormones raise and lower. Our bodies has mechanisms that raise and lower according to where the sun is in the sky. So as the sun rises, cortisol levels rise up, the stress hormone rises up to help wake us up, body temperature wakes up, and then lowers throughout the day, kind of solidifies. And then during night, when the sun's coming down, less blue light, so melatonin starts secreting and everything like that. It kind of gets us ready for bed, which gets disrupted by the phone that we use at night, TV we watch at night, and things like that. And you look at shift workers who wake up at sundown or dusk and go to sleep past dawn, right? So the body is not meant to be up at night. If we look at a ancestral point of view or a primal point of view, whatever you may call it, the body is not supposed to be operating fully throughout the night like that. And therefore, we're still animals, and the body's going to shut down when it needs to shut down, protect itself when it needs to protect itself. And when the hormones are out of whack, they don't know how to regulate. When they can't regulate, we start harboring, fat tissue or plaque in our arteries, or the stress levels we can't manage, just everything like that. Go on to that too is the caffeine they drink during the night that raises the blood pressure, that does all these things. When you change something that's simple, and anything, you knock out one thing, you change something that should be very systematic or very just normal throughout the body, there's going to be a cascade effect. And most of the time, especially when we talk about shift work, it's in a negative sense.
Yeah. Definitely a challenging obstacle to overcome, but I feel like kind of getting back to your original point, just like adhering to those habits as much as you can to make the best out of that situation is probably, for now at least, the best we could do to give some practical takeaways to that point. But yeah, man.
Absolutely. And like even more so those practical takeaways. So if we're going to be shift workers, dude, if we are shift workers or we're coaching shift workers, the number one thing, in my personal opinion, and probably according to the research as well, if you were to read it, would be sleep.
Mhm.
So getting into bed whenever you can, whatever that looks like. Doing a meditation after shift work. I know it's hard because people work shift works, run their kids to school, whatever it may be. And when it's time to go to bed, center yourself, meditate, do breath work, take a hot shower, have room darkening curtains, sleep with a sleeping mask, put some sound on, make sure it's cool in the room. Set your sleep environment up to make sure you can get as much of a restful amount of sleep as you can during the time you can.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Trainer Scoop podcast. I just wanted to let you know I offer a free week of online coaching to anyone that would like to take a strategic approach to training and nutrition. So within this free week of coaching, you'll get a consultation call, personalized calorie and macronutrient values, and of course, your own personalized training program. So if you or anyone you know would like to take advantage of this offer, feel free to just shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, or just follow that link in the description of the podcast and it'll take you right to it. Thank you so much, and back to the show. Nice. Those are some great practical takeaways, man. I appreciate you dropping those. Like, it's not
Absolutely.
easy. It's not easy doing that shift work, but like just the effect of sleep has on like fat loss and the ability, even like there was some studies that I read, like with resistance training and sleep, and just the pretty profound impact that it had. Like when you were resistance training and trying to lose weight, like they held on to so much more lean mass versus the group that was a little bit more sleep deprived. And that is something that occurs so much with that shift work. So those are great sleep tips, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. Sleep is a PED we all need, baby.
Yeah, that's so true. So like right now, do you know much about like the coursework you're going to be doing at Oklahoma State?
I have a general idea. It's going to be more in depth,
Yeah.
pretty much a more in depth focus on my dietetics program. So
Right.
we have, I'm looking at the schedule right now. My next semester will be like focus on macronutrients, statistics, foundation of health promotion, and some thesis hours. But most of the time, graduate work is just way more critical thinking, way more in-depth work into what you already know. So like knowing the Krebs cycle by heart type thing. And the way it's been explained to me is undergrad's all multiple choice, grad school's all open-ended. So like it's testing the actual knowledge. And during that time while I'm at OSU, I'll be doing my dietetic internship. And then after that, I'll take the exam and become a registered dietitian. So I'll be able to practice more with the medical community instead of just general health and wellness and referring out whenever I need to. I could be able to handle everything at that point. So that's kind of what OSU looks like right now.
Yeah. Do you have any particular area you're looking to kind of like develop your knowledge a little bit more about as far as dietetics goes?
So I'm actually getting my graduate degree, so my master's degree in dietetics research, and then I'm getting a certificate of public health as well. So really entering into that public health space, something I did not think I would go into at all, because it's like it seems kind of boring on the outside, but diving into it, dude, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So there's going to be all kinds of new learning experiences. That'll be good. I'm gonna be checking out, seeing how it's going. Try to glean some more.
I'll be updating it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, see, that's one thing I really like about your Twitter is like you just give so many good like takeaways and like a little bit more existential thought for people to ponder. But yeah, it's like a great mix of stuff on Twitter. So what's your Twitter handle? I want to drop it real quick so people can follow you there because I do enjoy your Twitter content, man.
I appreciate that, though. It is Dylan Spina, so DYLANSPINA 61, and that's just with the out sign. And it's something I appreciate you mentioning that, dude, because that's something I very much try to harp on with my content. It's I don't try to sell whatever the craze is, man. It's just like I'm going to tell you how it is, and you decide how to do it. That's why growth is slow and it's not quick, but at least I know I'm doing it with integrity as well.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of on that topic, I feel like it's important to address that within nutrition because I don't know if this is 100% true, but it's probably the most fad-ridden and dishonest part of, well, I don't know if I could say that compared to the whole fitness industry. In general, fitness and nutrition is pretty crooked in some ways. But how do you
very much
right? So how do you kind of like deal with that and then navigate it to put out like the quality stuff without giving into the low-hanging fruit of just saying, you know, do this, you'll get in great shape? Or I guess not that's kind of a poorly phrased question, but do you get what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely get what you're saying. So the way I look at it, dude, is the people who, and I'm generalizing here, of course, right? The people who sell those things, ride the fads, ride the craze, ride controversy, ride argument, are looking to make a quick buck. They see the opportunity. Again, I'm generalizing, so don't fucking shoot me if that's you and that's not what you're doing, right? But something Zach Hummel had taught me from the very beginning when trying to grow my social media presence is it's more about the depth you have with the following than more about the width of the following that you have. So meaning that I care more deeply about the impact I make to each and every single one of the people who read my content than I do the amount of growth of my account. So So like that just basically means to make sure I'm providing so much value that I'm living with myself with integrity the entire time. And that's really what it comes down to. It's a foundation of integrity, is just being so truthful and sounding the foundation that you have, that the temptation to make a quick buck off of craze is not even validated. And kind of going into that point, and like people who want to follow that path that are listening, and that is, Twitter makes it easy because you see all that crazy shit and then you just come at it with sound advice, right? Or thoughtful advice. Or, and granted, sometimes my tweets can be quote unquote aggressive, because it's passionate. Like, I don't want somebody to get fucking hurt, dude. Like, you eat 400 grams of protein at any body weight, you're gonna fucking have some pretty horrible conditions in your kidneys. Like, that's just bound to happen over time. 400 grams a day for a couple years, yeah.
Have you
Like,
heard of
I'm
that?
sorry, that's just probably gonna happen, right? So making everything in a sound judgment, living with integrity, and worrying about building more of more of depth than width is everything. Like, the width is gonna come because, as you know, loyalty is rare with people, right? And when you could build a loyalty through a screen with somebody like that, and they feel like they can trust you with everything, word of mouth is going to spread. They're going to share your message. The message gets out better. It's more positive. And the people who will follow that will actually adhere to it better than, I'm going to go run a fucking keto diet because this guy told me to eat 10 pounds of steak a day and I lost so much weight. And now that person who did that has terrible kidneys, and the guy who told him to do it's not even fucking doing it. He's fucking chowing down on ice cream afterwards. Like, it's just all about that, dude. It's
Yeah.
just living with integrity. Like, I will never be able to hammer that in more, or enough, I should say, but just post and live with integrity, and God, the universe, a higher power will treat you well with it.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing with it, because I really do enjoy it. And even like I was looking in one of your posts, and like you just have really good interactions with people. Like, they generally appreciate, and they were like, thanks, man. I appreciate this post or this little bit of knowledge. It's like cool to see that like there's like genuine appreciation there. You don't always see that. So that was really cool.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear about it, man, because it's been a minute since I've been over to the gym, but in general, like, how's your training been? Because quick aside story, like I said, he was a beast in the weight room. I remember Dylan doing some very intense workouts. Like, there was one distinct memory of you deadlifting, like to the point where you about like passed out. Like, I was like, holy shit, I don't think I ever saw anyone push this hard on deadlifts. Like, you would just go in. And of course, like Zach Hummel at the time was crazy strong. That was like, I would say maybe deadlift was his go-to, just super proficient deadlifter. And you would be hanging there right with him. So in general, man, how's the gym and the training been for you?
Dude, it's been an interesting ride, man. Like, I actually just had a conversation with one of the gym members today about like waving intensities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you were in the gym with us, like, that was fucking, we're punching each other, dude. We're throwing, like, weights are being thrown, like, screaming, motherfucking you pussy, fucking lift this shit. I passed out multiple times during
Yeah.
those couple years. Like, it's just all this, like, it's that point in my lifting career, if you want to say, or my training career. I hate to say it's career because it's just what I do, right?
Yeah.
Um, you push the limits, dude. There was no breaks. There's no such thing as a break. If you took a break, you're a fucking bitch and you weren't on the team anymore. Like,
Right.
that's just how it was. And then it's just interesting how life kind of gives you what you need at the time, dude. And like right in the beginning, when everything started shutting down, I got injured multiple times actually. And I was just, dude, I was at the point I was like the strongest I've ever been, dude. I was repping 600, squatting or 600 deadlift, lapping and fucking lifting 350-pound stones. Like, my log press was coming close to 275, 300. Like, I was there at 230, right? But my health was suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And I slowly learned that as soon as I got injured. My beginning of COVID, there was nothing to do, dude. Everything was shut down. So I just shower. I love showering, dude. I just love cleaning myself. I don't know if that's fucking weird or not, but I love it. And this is actually like the third time in my life this has happened, and I got an infection. I got a staph infection in my elbow because I was too clean, and that took me out weightlifting, dude, for 4 to 6 weeks. I want to say 'cause I couldn't lift the upper body, so it's just I was on the bell squat machine almost every day, just doing what I can. And it was at the point where I came back from the emergency room that first time, where I was trying to put up my socks on, um, and I couldn't breathe. I was just so heavy.
Mm.
And like 230 doesn't seem that heavy, but I was heavy, dude, and I wasn't in the best cardiovascular shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I looked at Cheyenne. I was like, something's got to change. She goes, yeah, you're fucking soaking the bed because you're sweating at night because my blood pressure was so high. Like when going back to 2 years ago when I put no brakes, dude, like I redlined completely, right?
Yeah.
And then once I got healed from that infection, I tried to lift off, I forget what it was, on an incline, and my shoulder went. And it's just one of those freak things that, like, of course it did, right? Another 4 to 6 weeks. And then after that, I got pretty healthy, dude, but I was about 70% training. Like I definitely pulled, like I said, there's no breaks, but I learned to create some harmony in my training and pulled back and recognized, yeah, I need to lose weight and I need to get my health in check.
Mm.
Went to a strongman competition in December, did very well. You know, I was 200 pounds, so 30 pounds lighter than I was, 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Placed decently well in a heavyweight class, novice heavyweight class at that point, because just where I was in my strength at that point. And then a freak accident with Zach in the woods, fucking picking up a log. I fucking slipped a disc.
Oh.
So that put me out in the beginning of this year and helped get down a little bit more. So training wise, dude, it's been very harmonious. It's been what my body needs when it needs it. It's been a lot more, especially during the summertime, because we want to be outside, we want to hike, we want to swim, we want to bike.
Mm-hmm.
I've been incorporating a lot more outdoor activities into my exercise activity.
Yeah. Nice.
We're about to start open water swimming here at Eagle Creek, dude. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. That's
But
cool.
really hiking, dude, is my main go-to. And then I'm in the gym 4 to 5 times a week whenever I can get in there, still following a program and that.
Mm-hmm.
But training intensity wise, I'm not trying to pass out anymore.
Yeah.
I think, so it's not to say that you shouldn't do that or you should do that. I think that was a very important phase and season of my life that I needed to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very grateful for it. And eventually, I'm sure it will come back when I'm ready to turn that switch back on. But for now, it's just very harmonious, just fucking maintaining my strength, gaining tiny bits at a time, getting my body in check, dude. Like I'm sitting at like 185 now, so dropping 50 pounds for the past 16 months, man. It's like
Nice.
it's a different body to get used to, and it's fun, dude. It's like having a new whiteboard to mess with, like
Yeah.
I can take this body wherever it needs to go, and I have the tools, dude, and I have the people around me, I have the knowledge around me, and I have the knowledge myself and the tools myself
Mm-hmm.
to get there. But training has been very fun, to say
Yeah.
the least. I think that's going to be the word to describe it: harmonious and fun.
Right. Yeah. It is. It is very interesting how like you said, it just comes in waves. Like you're pushing super hard, and then kind of like life hits you, and it's maybe not the most sustainable thing ever, and now you can make the best out of the situation that you're in. And I saw the transformation pics on Twitter, man. It was pretty crazy how you did with that. So like with your personal process, were you just kind of like intuitively eating, or are you like big into like tracking macros, or what was your process to lose all that weight?
So when I first started out recognizing that you lose weight, like kind of going back to the very beginning of the conversation, dude, it was let's go before I started needing to lose weight. Like I would eat 4 or 5 cups of Rice Krispies at night before I went to bed, because I needed those carbohydrates to be able to perform the next day or whatever it was. I was just eating a lot, not really. I was intuitively eating, but I was eating a lot. And talking about like the lower and higher self from before, and there was a little voice in my head that said, you know what, you probably shouldn't be doing this. This is not beneficial for you at this point. But the other voices, like mostly because I was under the influence, would tell me that I needed to eat this, or I wanted to eat this, or whatever it was. And it was more of turning, for me, it was turning the volume up on that higher self, that quieter voice, to be like, okay, you don't actually need to eat this. Like, you have goals and you're good without this. You're going to be fine. And that process got me down to about 200. And then that's when we were started getting ready for competition again. And I wanted to be in the best shape possible for it. And as a nutrition coach, as a trainer myself, I knew the value of having a coach. And I gave the reins off to my coach, Cody McBroom, where we macro tracked everything, which I love, dude, because I'm very analytical. Like I said, science wasn't my strongest suit, but I love it. So I need that aspect of holding me accountable. I still have the tendency, or I know I will still have the tendency to overeat just because I enjoy food that much. So tracking helps keep me accountable, but it also teaches me portion sizes as well. And that's why we implement it with our clients as well. With it is, you understand how much 50 grams of carbs of rice is. You understand how much 80 grams of protein is, or whatever it is in a meal. You understand how to eat and when to eat. So I know I was going off on the top, a little off there, and I forgot the original question, but I'm kind of a little bit of both, dude. I don't see the need for the coach anymore. So we have like 2 more weeks where then we're going to go into a maintenance phase, and then kind of just go off on my own with it and kind of keep that maintenance there. So I'll probably still track macros for a little bit, but really a lot of it, dude, especially when we track macros, is having some flexibility with it. And I'm not saying like if it fits your macros flexibility, but understanding the point of tracking macros is understanding how much you need. And some days, like when Cheyenne's up and we're going on a date, like I'm not tracking fucking macros at Harry and Izzy's, bro. I'm not tracking macros when, you know, we're snacking or whatever. Like, that is what it is. I chalk it up, and something we preach in Entre Perform, I preach to my clients all the time, is do the next right thing. So I understand I'm going to go out. I may eat a little bit above where my deficit needs to be, or my maintenance needs, whatever, right? I might eat above, I may eat below, but as long as I wake up the next day and hop right back on a schedule, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And the kind of way I do that too is, like, I know, and it's just for any listeners that have struggled with tracking macros or anything like that, is plan for the week, have a plan for the day. So what I do is I make all my meals for Monday through Saturday on Sunday, or Saturday, whatever day it works, but it's all at once. Some people can't do that, so they'll do Monday through Wednesday, but I don't eat anything outside my meals those days. Mm-hmm. That's what helps me keep accountable. So there's a part of tracking macros there too, but I still don't track macros throughout the week. It's only like a once a week thing.
Yeah.
And I know going into maintenance, and there's certain times where I will do it and I need to do it if I'm not in a deficit, is, especially, I should say, when I'm in a maintenance, is that's where intuitively eating comes in, responsibly intuitively eating. So I might have a hard leg day that day. So I might, instead of I have all my meals, I'm going to have a banana or an apple or some grapes. So some extra carbohydrates before the workout or after the workout, to kind of simple carbohydrates to help kind of get the glucose into where it needs to be, glycogen type thing, stored there for energy. So that's kind of how I approach it mentally. Everybody's different though.
Yeah. No, I find myself doing a very similar thing where, like, I'm still kind of like meticulous about it, where I'll like exact same thing. I'll be meal prepping on Sunday and I will weigh everything out. Not everyone has to do that. But then throughout the week, it's just so easy because I already know everything's on point. And then, like you said, like come Saturday, if I'm going out to dinner with some friends or maybe having some drinks, like all you can do is really hop back on track the next day and make sure that, what was it, like, do the next right thing?
Do the next right thing, baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's great. And I think generally it works really well, especially because I'm kind of in like a maintenance phase myself. And yeah, it's a great way to go through life where it's low stress, but you can still get to your given goal. So definitely a good option to get up.
And you're doing it responsibly too, dude. Like, and that's the thing, is like being responsible with it and holding yourself accountable to it is everything. Like, you can have the best diet, but if you're not going to hold yourself accountable to it, i.e. why most people have coaches, then, you know, that's going to be a problem if you don't hold yourself accountable. So it's having the responsibility, the maturity to have that is a game changer there for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah, man, that accountability factor, like, well, I'll never say that everyone needs a coach or everyone should have a coach. I think it is good to try it because you can kind of learn that accountability and carry it forward. So like,
Hmm.
for example, are you familiar with Renaissance periodization? You ever heard of
I
it?
am, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I did their little cut from like January to April, and like you're using their diet app, which is pretty cool. You know, it can adjust your calories throughout the diet, tells you how much of each food you need, but it doesn't have that accountability factor. And at times I was like, just like really pressed to not get off. And I did get off every once in a while. You know, it happens. You got to get back on.
Hmm.
But I think like having that accountability and like even just the act of like telling someone like, yo, I fucked up. Or, you know, in the back of your mind, on the other side, you're like, ah man, I don't want to tell him that I fucked up. Like it can go a long way. And like I respect that you as a coach went to work with a coach. Like just it
Hmm.
shows the maturity there and shows that it really can be a beneficial thing. So that's cool. I appreciate you sharing your process, man.
Absolutely, dude. And I will be the one to say I think everybody needs a coach. Like I
Yeah.
said, I know I'm gonna take some time off with a coach.
Hmm.
But I think you're right with the accountability factor in that is there's multiple times, like I said, I went out for dinner, I didn't want to, but it's the maturity thing of telling him like, hey, dude, I kind of like, I had a dinner date last night, I didn't track it, or whatever it was. And what's crazy is the fact that you're feeling guilt, you're feeling shame inside your head for doing that. When you express it to a coach, a good coach like that, they're going to be like, all right, bro, like that's fine. Like you get it. Just you're disciplined enough to get back on it. Just do it. And if you're
Hmm.
not disciplined enough, that's where it's coach's job to kind of help mitigate those barriers, kind of like we are talking about with public health, the barriers that you're facing, why you did that, or if it's a consistent thing, is like, why are you doing this? What is the and not obviously you're not going to be that direct as a coach, and you're going to have some empathy with it and be like, I understand that we had this dinner date. What led you to this point, or what made you do this consistently, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
um, and I think it's a growing aspect on both ends. Is as a
Yeah.
coach, you have to be able to be empathetic and sympathetic at times to why they do it, and as a client and somebody who's trying to change their life, is the maturity aspect of reporting it to somebody and having somebody be like, it's okay, let's just keep going on, because
Right.
it's a family or respect aspect at that point.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's very good stuff, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, brother.
So, Dylan, I want to be mindful of your time, but I do have one more question for you. And I feel like this one will probably resonate. And maybe it kind of relates to that original goal of like why you got into dietetics. Um, discussing with your grandpa and everything, and like the Sunday dinners. So, like on that same kind of frame, right? And I don't take this wrong way. I'm not trying to stereotype or like oversimplify it, right? This is like a cultural thing where like, lots of like high in fat, heavy cream and everything. It's just kind of like a cultural thing. And every culture has that certain thing. Whether, in some way most do eat sort of like unhealthy and it's just kind of ingrained.
Yep.
How would you think about changing that, or at least helping people manage those like deeply ingrained cultural eating habits?
I'm going to surprise you with it. I wouldn't.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
me, you've been following me, and we've been in contact for such a long time that there's a statement of saying food is fuel, and where most people get the idea, like you're saying, fat heavy or cream heavy, carbohydrate, whatever it is, fry, whatever, dude.
Hmm.
Food is fuel, and you should be eating that. I wholeheartedly believe food is culture, food is tradition, food is memories, food is emotion, food is all this wrapped into the one that we connect to on a deep level.
Yeah.
And to tell somebody that they can't have that,
Mm.
or that I want to change that for the better, I'm going to get a big fuck you, and
Yep.
you can go fuck yourself, right? So in teaching people how to create balance, or how to create a harmony or harmonious relationship with it, is to understand it's going to happen. You're going to have those Sunday dinners, but coming back to what we were just talking about, is do the next right thing. Just get right back on track. And it's funny, I had a client that was recently, he is of Islamic faith, and Ramadan just ended last month, I think a month ago exactly now. And that's, for those who are unfamiliar with Ramadan, it's 30 days of fasting from sun up to sundown, no water, no food, no nothing. And with athletes especially, it's hard to get in the proper amount of calories for them to perform the next day. They have to eat right at sundown and right at sun up. And there's, I think it's called sulhu in the middle of the night, which is like a snack. Not beneficial. Like, food fucks up your circadian rhythm, everything, dude, right? And you want them to eat, steak and rice and whatever, all these healthy meals. But during Ramadan, just like for majority of us who celebrate Christmas or Passover, things like that, there's certain foods involved. Most of them are fried, high in fat, high in carbohydrates, high in sodium. The death trifecta, as I like to call them, fat, sodium, and sugar, all connected in one. So it's telling them, okay, you can have that, perfectly fine. It's be responsible with it, have correct proportions, get back on track as soon as you can. So that's kind of how I wouldn't change it for the world, and I never would intend changing it on anybody.
Yeah, dude, that's a great answer. I think that just goes to show like the level of coach you are, man. Like, that was cool.
Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah,
Thank
dude.
you.
That was a really good answer. Yeah. And with especially like coaches that are listening to this, I feel like you just have to meet people where they are and create a plan from there. So definitely.
Absolutely. And I think that's the main way with being a coach, dude, is we're taught to be coach centered. So I'm reading another book right now. It's called Motivational Interviewing for Nutrition and Fitness, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they talk about how fitness professionals, especially nutrition professionals as well, but we have this idea of the righting reflex, where all we want to do is correct people in their wrongs, which would lead us to seem like we're the expert, which we're not. We're not the expert of that person's life or client's life. They're in the driver's seat. They're doing everything. We're just guiding them. And the goal would be, and this is something any good coaching course would teach, and that's what I hate about like certain certificates where they don't harp on this. It actually feeds that coach-centered aspect, where we need to be more client-centered. I'm not going to give a client a macro template or anything like that to follow when they're not even eating whole foods at the time, or they don't have healthy habits at this point. Like that, giving them macros is going to overwhelm them, hate themselves, and not have them adhere to it. Giving them an advanced training program is not going to have them get the best results. As a coach, you absolutely need to meet your clients where they're at, and it's called client-centered. And it goes more into, this is not about you, it's about them. If you're not doing this for your clients, get the fuck out of the business.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be in here. We don't want you in here. You're doing more harm than you are good, even though you may seem like you're doing good. I can't tell you how many clients I've dealt with that have had bad coaches that were hesitant on hiring a coach because they were afraid of that same thing. Is when you tell them, you empathize with them and meet them where they're at, though they're not going to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks or whatever their goal is, right? But you teach them the habits to do it afterwards. That means way more than creating a quick fix so I can put up a transformation picture and sell more people on it. Yeah. I care more about, and you as a coach, not you, David, specifically, but you, the listeners who are coaches, need to worry more about what you're doing in the now that's going to transform their lives in the later. Because anybody can do well with a coach now, but it's what happens when they can't afford your recurring payments afterwards, or they don't want to be under it, or they feel comfortable enough to do it. It's getting them to that point where they're going to continue on this sustainable lifestyle change.
Yeah, dude, that was, I feel like, a great way to wrap the episode up. Great takeaways for people that are coaches, maybe people that are looking into getting a coach, some things that you should look for. But overall, Dylan, I just want to say thank you for taking time to come on here and chat, man. It's great to be able to catch up with you. Great to see what's next in the way for you. So really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, David. And thank you for giving me the honor to being on here, dude. It is truly an honor to do this and speak my mind and give me a platform to kind of reach out to people who may need to hear it.
Yeah.
I look forward to talking more, brother.
Oh
After
yeah.
this, for sure.
Oh yeah. Definitely going to keep up with you as you're going through out there in Oklahoma. But so I know we mentioned your Twitter. Is there anywhere else that you'd like to have people try to follow you and keep up with you, or is it mostly Twitter centric for you right now?
Twitter is my main focus. I do have an active Instagram that I don't tend to as much. Twitter's so much more fun for me, to be completely honest. But you can follow me, Dylan Spina 61, Dylan Spina 61 on Twitter and Instagram. The coaching business I'm a part of is mainly heavy on Instagram. It's Entrepreneurform. So any entrepreneurs, coaches who are starting their business, we help with habits, training, nutrition, everything along those lines on a extreme level if you're ready for it type thing. And that's so like entrepreneur, but instead of preneur, it's perform.
Yeah.
So check us out. And I appreciate you allowing me to give those shout outs, brother. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Got to promote the good things you're doing. Well, Dylan, once again, thank you so much, man. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.